Thanks for joining us on the call. If we just get your thoughts on the game up at Memphis, please, and what you expect to see as you're back at home on Saturday to face ECU.
Game Saturday, it was a tough, hard-fought game. I thought Memphis really played well in the game. I was really impressed with the way Brady White, the quarterback, played. I thought he had, his best game, and we gave up a lot of big plays defensively. They did a good job of making some contested plays. We had some guys covered, and Brady threw good balls, and receivers made good catches, and that happens sometimes. And then other times we didn't tackle in some situations as well as we should have, and so we've got to keep improving there. Wasn't pleased with our special teams and really primarily our kickoff unit. I mean, obviously we struggled there, gave up a return for a touchdown, struggled the entire night, and so it's something that's been an issue for us. We haven't been able to kick the ball into the end zone consistently, and when you're kicking off as much as we are, 8 times a game, 9 times a game, then you've got to do a good job covering. And right now, from a depth perspective, we've struggled to have enough depth to be able to do that effectively. So, it's like anything else. Those two things have hurt us a little bit, and it hurt us in the game Saturday night. Memphis has a good kick return unit, and we struggled to get those guys on the ground, and certainly made a difference in the ball game. So, we've got to get that improved. Liked our effort, liked the way our guys battled back, but made too many mistakes to have a chance to to be a good football team. Looking at East Carolina, I've been real impressed with the quarterback play. They've got 2 good receivers that really stand out. I thought the quarterback played exceptionally well. Last week against Cincinnati, they moved the ball, had a big lead on Cincinnati, and ended up not holding on to it, but really was impressed with their offense. Like I said, in their quarterback play in particular, and they've got 2 really good wide receivers, guys that are really stand out. So it'll be a challenge for us. We got to continue to improve defensively, not limit our big plays, and do a better job getting off the field than we did on Saturday.
We'll take questions for Coach Sonny Dykes, please. *1 on your telephone keypad will put you in the queue.
And we'll take our first question from Sam Blum with Dallas Morning News.
So, I think pretty much every game this year you guys have actually started out with the ball, and then obviously you guys have a great offense, but is that something you've always done throughout your coaching career, or is it just because of the way you guys are able to score this season? What's kind of the thought process behind all of it?
Yeah, a lot of that just depends on, what's going on, your matchups, how you feel about your matchups, whether or not there's a significant amount of wind, whether or not there's impending weather where you think it might be to your advantage to have the choice in the second half. I mean, there's a lot of factors kind of that go into making that decision. And all things, normal, and weather's normal, and you feel good about your matchup, it just makes sense to take the ball and try to start fast. So, but like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of it just depends on what's happening from week to week.
And also separately, do you feel like, after watching the game Saturday that, at least at the receiver position, if you don't have Reggie, you guys are going to be okay, just because it seemed like Rasheed and, Kyle and those guys are able to really make, they're able to make big-time catches?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you don't just replace a player like Reggie. Reggie's got a lot of experience, has made a lot of big plays, has a lot of speed, kind of has a unique skill set. And so, you don't just put somebody in and replace them. Just because he has been doing that for a while. We felt all along that Rasheed was going to have an opportunity to be a really good player and has continued to get better since fall camp. And so I'm not surprised that he played well. I expected him to play well. He's a strong kid. He's got a strong lower body, strong hands, and has a lot of confidence. And so I think the moment's never too big for him. I didn't get that sense Saturday that it was, and haven't got that sense up to this point. So, I thought Kylan is continuing to play better. Dropped the ball early in the game that could have been a big play for us, and but overall, I thought he performed well. And I think he gets more and more comfortable, and his role gets a little more defined every week, and I think Shane has a lot of confidence in him. So, we feel like we've got a good group of wide receivers, especially some young guys that have an opportunity to develop into good players. And so, You know, losing Reggie hurts us, obviously, and we'll see kind of when he gets back. I would expect him back at some point, just not quite sure when. So we'll see how it plays out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we'll take our next question from Ronnie Woodward with Greenville Daily Reflector.
Hey, Coach, you touched on it from the ECU side a little bit earlier. They obviously nearly got an upset of Cincinnati. Y'all dropped a huge game against Memphis. It's kind of obvious, but is this a game where those teams kind of need to have that bounce back or show some resiliency and kind of move on to some way? Will, you know, have an effect maybe on the game and emotions of this one?
Oh, for sure. I think sometimes, you know, when you lose a tough, hard-fought game like we lost Saturday, you know, you can get a little bit of a hangover effect for sure, and it lingers. And you know, you've got to be able to put it behind you and move on. You know, thankfully, East Carolina on film, you turn the film on and you can see, you know, how dynamic their offense is and how much they're improving on defense. And so, you know, I think our players will see quickly that, you know, they're certainly capable of making big plays and have some receivers that are really good and quarterbacks playing at a really high level, and that'll get their attention, you know. But that's always something you worry about anytime you have a hard fought football game. It's just how quickly can the guys bounce back emotionally. You know, it was a late travel. We got back late Saturday night. You know, it's like I told them on Sunday. There's all kinds of excuses for us not to play well on Saturday, and we got to do a good job of making sure that, you know, we don't use those excuses, that we perform at a high level and prepare really well, because we're going to have to play really good football to have a chance to beat East Carolina.
And do you have any specific plan maybe to talk to the guys about, you know, on your side that, you know, you can't go undefeated anymore and that type of thing, just kind of managing that first loss? They haven't experienced a loss all year, you know, until Saturday.
Yeah, you know, that's not really been our MO. Our MO has just kind of been take it one game at a time. And so we hadn't really talked much about being undefeated or you know, the difference. I mean, I think we've got a fairly mature team, and they understand that in this league, you know, you have to play well or you're going to lose. I mean, it doesn't matter which two teams are playing. It doesn't matter if it's the team that's leading the league or the team that's in last place in the league. You know, the gap in talent's not that significant. It's a very competitive league week in and week out. Everybody knows that every team in the league has very good players. And like I said, when you turn on East Carolina's film, it's very obvious. You know, we're going to face a quarterback that's probably playing as well as any quarterback in the league, and two receivers that, you know, you just watch them, and those guys are really, really good football players. And so, you know, we're going to have to play well.
And I assume when you say those two receivers, you mean C.J. Johnson and Prohl, 11 and 5?
Yes, yeah, those are the two guys. Yep. Yeah, and
okay.
I'm just now getting the preparation. You know, I just started watching them last night, and so
yeah,
you know, they stand out.
Thanks, Sonny. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll take our next question from Tom Shanahan with the News and Observer in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hi, Coach. You know, you were talking about East Carolina's progress. I was wondering how far back you've watched film from earlier games and what kind of jump you noticed they made against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm probably, you know, 6 games deep into it. You know, I mean, it's obvious they've improved, you know, considerably, and you know, and I think again offensively, you can see the quarterback just made tremendous jumps. You know, in the 5 or 6 games that I've had a chance to evaluate, just looks different. You know, the ball's coming out on time, and he's very accurate. And as I said, the receivers are really, you know, doing a good job of getting open, making contested plays. And when you have a quarterback that's hot and two guys that could go get the ball like these two guys can, and, you know, you can be really difficult to stop. And so there's been a tremendous amount of improvement. I think defensively you can see it as well. I mean, they've got some speed on defense and some guys that can really run, and you can see that they're starting to understand the scheme a little bit better every week and just starting to play faster on film. And what happens a lot of times is you get into this part of the season and teams start to wear down and you notice some fatigue. And I haven't noticed that at East Carolina. I think it's the other way. You know, they look like they're moving faster now than they have at any point during the year. So I think it's a credit to the coaching staff, and their players, you can definitely see the improvement.
And we can take one more question for Coach Dykes, please.
And we'll take our next question from Andrew Haversley with Pony Stampede.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you could talk about the work that Rasheed Rice has done to get to this point, and maybe how Calvin Wiggins is coming along as well.
Yeah, we've got 3 freshman receivers that we really like and think have a chance to become really good players. Kiki Burns is another one that got hurt early in the year. Suffered a big hit against Arkansas State, and is just now kind of coming back and starting to feel better and get back into practice. But we like all those guys. I mean, they're all, Rasheed, Calvin, and Kiki are all receivers that have good size. They can all run. They have different strengths. I think Rasheed's pretty physical for a young wide receiver. Just the way he's built. He's got a thick lower body. He's a little strong through his legs. Catches the ball well in traffic. And he's a really smooth runner and probably faster than he looks. And Calvin's kind of the speed, straightaway speed guy that's a little bit taller. Calvin's probably 6'3 plus and, ran, 21.7, I think, in the 200 meters at state track meet. So he's a kid that can really run. And then, Kiki's the bigger, more physical guy. So I like all 3 of our young guys. I think they're all 3 going to have a chance to be really good players. Obviously we're playing Rasheed. I think the goal right now is to redshirt Calvin if we can. He's played in 1 ball game up to this point, and so we're going to try to get him ready for this stretch run. We're going to need it.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Coach, thanks so much for your time this morning.